I'm Ashley.
And I'm Jackie. Welcome back to Dumb Witch Club.
Welcome, lovers.
Ooh, yes. All lovers. Lovers far and wide.
Lovers great and small.
Oh. Anyway.
Whatever. Lovers of all kinds.
All lovers of all kinds. Yes, no, it's true. It's true. Yes, love and lust are in the air.
Yes, it's the season for it.
It is. Mm-hmm. And couldn't come at a better time because it's a weird-ass season.
Yeah, man. It was wacky, bizarre.
Super wacky.
We said that last week, didn't we? That things were going to be wacky, weird. Mm-hmm. Didn't you have like an alliterative phrase? You were like, weird, wacky, wild, something or other.
Yes, that was the February energy report.
Oh,
and yeah. It was like wacky, wild. Yes, it was.
February energy report is where we said it, and it is so accurate. And so if you haven't watched the February energy report, please do so.
Yeah, and it's short, and it's to the point.
Why am I pointing with my pen? I was like, They're like, okay.
Yeah,
wow.
I liked it. I don't know.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
You can wag your pen around me anytime.
All right.
Let's get to a card pull.
Okay, I love it.
So we are using, again, this Pleasure Oracle, which is a card deck, obviously. It's a little different than your sort of traditional, obviously not a tarot deck, but it's even different, I think, than like a regular oracle deck. Mm-hmm. It has like artwork on the front, but there's kind of a meditation, like a statement of, and there's an activity on each card. And so anyways, it's all centered around sex and pleasure and eroticism and
amazing,
all of this loveliness. And the art's fun and sexy and cool.
It is. I love the colors. I'm really into these colors. It's like kind of like 80s pastels.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Reminds me of the Golden Girls, but sexier.
Hey, Blanche would be like,
sexier than me. Exactly. I'm going with this friend here. Okay.
What does she say?
She says, listen close. They say when someone tells you who they are, listen. But the challenge of listening is a question of presence. Most of us listen to another person in order to react. We wait for our turn to respond, projecting the best or else most reactive versions of ourselves outward in a bid to center ourselves and be heard. So the action portion of this is to be present, is to completely connect with someone else in the moment, drinking in every word they say, literally and figuratively. Listening is a practice in big empathy, divorced of expectations or demands. Instead, it asks you to simply serve, to witness the divinity in another, imperfections and all. Try deep listening today. You'll be amazed by how rewarding it is.
Amazing. I love that. And these cards really range from something like this that is obviously related to intimacy and pleasure, but isn't like punching you in the face with it, you know? Yeah. It ranges from that to things that are like sort of more explicit. But I really like how gentle this is and how like being present, recognizing the divinity in another person is 100% sexual. I mean, if it's sexual, it doesn't have to be sexual, obviously.
Yes, it can.
But if it is, it certainly is. And that's like kind of like the foundation that's really underneath how you achieve other things sexually with another person.
Absolutely, because that listening is where you determine who is consenting to what and what they're consenting to. And, you know, like you said, just kind of like almost laying the groundwork for like how this is going to go. So, which is very interesting because that is very along the lines of what we're talking about today.
Definitely. And I like the artwork. It's sort of a like curled up, not reclining, but she's kind of got her legs up, kind of a woman's figure, and just looks like she's
focused.
She's focused, exactly. She's listening. So I also like, it's called, what was it called? Listen close. Yeah. To get close to someone, really listen. So anyways, I liked it. It's a good card pull.
Same. I liked it too. It's nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Why though?
Yeah, it's a big old, well, it's not a big old mess, but.
No, I feel like I wish that we could just be like, I don't know, just listen to the February energy report. We already talked about it. Yeah. Well, we can't do that, I guess.
No, we can, and you should, but still, let's see what we're dealing with here. I know we just have some lot more Aquarius energy that we're dealing with. So what we have, and I'll just run through all of it because I think it just all goes together.
I love that. Perfect.
Obviously, you're welcome to give your comments, and I want to hear them. So we have on the 12th, Mars going into Aquarius.
Yep.
And right away on the 13th, conjuncting Pluto, also in Aquarius. On the 16th, we have Venus going into Aquarius.
Yep.
And basically the next day, conjuncting Pluto in Aquarius.
Pluto.
And then just like to sort of slightly jump ahead, next week, Mars and Venus have a conjunction as well. So all of this energy is very close. It's very jumbled up. And it's weird.
It's weird, wacky, wild. Yeah.
Yes.
It's been feeling that way for sure. I mean, has a lot of potential to be good. It's just strange. I don't know.
Yeah, so the potential to be good, what is that, right? So we have Mars about ambition and action, moving into this space of individuality and of big thinking.
Yes, exactly.
Right? Which, yes, tons of potential, right?
Amazing.
And then we have Venus, which is that, love and harmony and, whatever kind of the money, life kind of lifestyle energy.
Sure.
Also moving into Aquarius, which I think is really asking you to question that stuff and take a look at it and maybe go off of the path that you've been on with some of that stuff.
I agree.
And I think the Mars in Aquarius is going to give you that boost of energy.
Totally.
To make that stuff happen, taking definitive action. But it's going to be in an unconventional way. Whether it's unconventional to society or just to you. Like a way that you're not used to approaching things. You might find yourself doing it, and that would be for the good.
Yeah. Totally. Yeah, and it's going to be very kind of like in your headspace because that's the Aquarian energy. So that is where it's going to feel like there is so much potential with Mars and that action-oriented and, Venus kind of calling upon your heart to examine those things and the things that you want. But it's not going to feel watery or fiery like that. It's going to feel very kind of airy.
Yes. And so while it is true that definitive action can be a good thing to do during this time, it might actually be hard to do during this time.
Yeah.
And so I think Mars can be pretty frustrated in Aquarius.
Yeah.
So, also don't expect everything to go well. And maybe your weird, wacky idea, maybe it's not a bad idea. Maybe it can't fully come to fruition yet.
Sure.
But maybe it can. And it kind of just depends on where you're at. Yeah, but that's all a big bunch of stuff. So
It is.
Yeah. So there you go.
There you go.
That's why
though. All right.
Okay.
That's that. We told you it was weird. We said it.
Yeah. So as we've already hinted at, it's a very special episode of Dumb Witch Club.
Yes, it is.
So if you think way back to last year.
Yeah, think back to then.
I invite you to recall, or if you don't recall, go back and look up.
Yes.
We did a special episode last year too called Love Spells.
Yes.
This is to commemorate Valentine's Day, which, whatever, Hallmark holiday, silly or not, it doesn't matter. It's a thing, okay?
I love Valentine's Day.
I love the color scheme.
I'm obsessed with it, and I don't hear naysayers about it. Like,
No.
I don't like that.
No, I agree.
I won't hear it.
Yeah, so anyway, we are commemorating it because we like it, and yeah.
And I would just, little side note, would say that Venus in Aquarius would want everybody to love this and to have access to love and compassion. Every single person.
That's true. And even if it doesn't feel comfortable for you, they'd be like, so what? Do it anyway.
That's 100% right. So there you go.
That is true. No, that is a good point. So instead of love spells, we are tackling something different. Lust spells.
I love this so much.
I know. I feel like I'm just going to be moaning this whole episode.
It's great. Just moaning and sweating.
I know. Getting hot and bothered. We also have the heater on. I don't know. Whatever.
Could be that. Who knows?
No, so we we really loved our Love Spells episode.
It's cute.
And y'all out there really loved it.
Yes, they did.
We also did a sex magic episode.
We did.
That we really loved.
Last year, September of last year.
Yes. So this is kind of obviously along the same lines, yet another different little spin on it.
Yeah, it's like another little cross section of the same sort of topics.
Yes. So it's very exciting.
It is.
Before we get into the seriousness of what we really want to communicate.
Yeah.
I do have an historical take on this.
Oh, I love it. Let's hear the historical take. Oh, you even have like a historical tome.
I have a tome. I was going to say tome. That's so good.
Love a tome.
I know. So this book, a handbook of spells, magic, and potions.
It's so pretty.
But it's like these traditional kind of historical spells from different cultures.
I love this.
I mean, I'm not saying they're not real or couldn't be real, but I feel like there is like a tongue-in-cheek aspect to this.
Sure.
Where it's like, this really isn't the way that we go about things anymore. But there was a few in here
Let's hear it.
that I wanted to read, okay? So this one is to make a woman moved to love.
Ooh.
And it is identified as a gypsy spell.
Okay.
I know the word gypsy is problematic now, but it wasn't when this book was published, and I don't know what else to substitute it with because I don't know the actual origin of it. So anyway, that's what it says. I'm just sort of acknowledging. Okay, but this is it. To make a woman move to love, her lover must take a blade of grass in his mouth and turning to the east and west, say, "Where the sun goes up, shall my love be by me. Where the sun goes down, there by her I'll be." Then the blade of grass should be cut up into pieces and mingled with some food, which the girl must eat. And if she swallows the least bit of the grass, she will be moved to love and true-hearted.
Oh my God, so you're just sneaking grass into her food?
Yeah.
Oh, that's yikes.
And then if she eats it, she'll fall in love with you.
Oh, I don't know about that. Okay.
So here's another one. And I don't know, these are all about men seducing women, okay? To make a woman follow.
Oh, Jesus, okay.
This is a Gaelic charm.
Oh.
To make a woman follow, keep a sprig of mint in your hand till the herb grows moist and warm. Gross. Then take hold of the hand of the woman you love, and she will follow you as long as the two hands close over the herb. No invocation is necessary, but silence must be kept between the two parties for 10 minutes to give the charm time to work.
Imagine how crazy that would be. Some dude has some wet plant in his hand, and he grabs your hand, and you're like, what is that? And he's just like, yeah. You're like, are you gonna... No.
Yeah.
So you're holding onto my hand with a wet plant, and you won't talk to me.
For 10 minutes.
For 10 minutes. What the hell?
So the charm will work. Okay. These are amazing. Okay, this is the last one. And this one, this one was just my actual favorite, I think.
Okay.
So this is a spell to keep a wife or a husband.
Yeah, okay.
This is a Cherokee shaman's charm, it claims. To attract and fix the affections of a mate on your wedding night, when your new spouse is sleeping, take your saliva and rub it on your spouse's chest, reciting 4 times, your spittle, I take it, I eat it. Repeat this ceremony for 3 more nights, reciting 4 times on the second night, your body, I take it, I eat it. And 4 times on the third night, your flesh, I take it, I eat it. And 4 times on the final night, your heart, I take it, I eat it.
What?
The ceremony is so effective that no husband need have any fears for his wife after performing it.
I don't understand. And why are you saying your spit's your spit? It's their spit, like not that person's spit.
But it's kind of like very erotic.
Like, yeah.
You're like rubbing your spit into somebody.
But they're sleeping. That's the weird part.
That's a little non-consensual.
None of these are consensual.
That's true.
Just making people eat grass and hold wet mint in their hand and not explaining any of it.
Right. So
wow. Men just really will come up with anything other than just pay the bills. Like,
yeah, exactly.
How to get a woman to pay her bills.
Yeah.
How to get buy her snacks. These are easy answers. You don't have to put wet mint in your hand.
But this is the glorious tradition from which we come with
Wonderful.
these love and lust spells.
I love this. This is amazing.
Okay.
I actually do love it. Like, I love that I've never heard anything like this. Typically, when you hear people talk about, like, the old ones, they talk about Victorian times, and they talk about, like, what young girls would do, right? To see their future husband or whatever. It's always, like, what women were kind of doing to practice witchcraft, which I also, like, love that, like, women just get together and start being witches, like, automatically. It's, like, so cute that we do that.
Oh, yeah. All through history.
I love it. I love it. Like, everybody's a little coven, whether they know it or not. It's so cute. But you never really hear the other perspective of, like, this is what men were up to.
Yep.
What were these ideas?
Trying to keep a wife with a blade of grass.
Just ridiculous.
Yeah,
but
amazing.
I love it. It's so great.
Thank you for indulging that.
Yes,
I thought they were just too good to let go.
Yeah, I love it.
But we do have some actual advice or stuff, right?
Yes, we do. We do have some actual, and in fact, that leads into the conversation about overall consent, right? And when doing spell work, and we've mentioned this multiple times because we've talked about spell work on this channel multiple times, and I know we've said this, but it bears repeating, especially on this topic, that when doing spell work, it needs to be centered on you and not manipulative of others with what you're doing.
Yes, indeed. And I think, one, it works better that way.
Yeah.
If you're working on yourself, you're doing the work.
Exactly.
If you're trying to work on someone else, whether that's with a spell or any other means, it doesn't really work. So
it doesn't. Yeah, so it's almost, that's a really good point. It's like fruitless to even do that. It's so much better to work on yourself, because then you will attract the things that are meant for you, and you're not meddling in other energy that really has nothing to do with you. And there's a lot that you can really do to affect the way that you are drawing energy to you and the way that you're being perceived by others, to the point of actually doing things to influence that, which I'll have more on that later with Spell of the Week.
Salacious.
Yes, but yeah, there's a lot of power there.
Definitely. But also, just to sort of underscore your point, it is not really consensual, especially when you're talking about a lust or a love or something sexual spell, to try to enact that upon another person, unless they do consent to it.
Yeah.
And you're doing that together. Then that's, like, hot and amazing.
Totally,
so.
That's what I was going to say. That's rad. Like, that's amazing. I want to do that. That's cool.
Yes. I think I wanted to talk to you a little bit about love and lust.
Yeah, me too.
And you certainly can have one without the other.
Yes.
But I happen to believe that the most powerful way to have it is to have both.
100%.
And the word lust first came into the vernacular meaning pleasure or delight, evolved into meaning want or desire in general, and now really specifically refers to an intense desire of a sexual nature. So it's interesting that it was linked back to just the concept of pleasure or delight generally. So while you might lust after or for someone, it really is about pleasure and maybe your pleasure, but hopefully the other person's pleasure as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's really interesting that that's where it stemmed from. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And now that I'm thinking about it, now that you've brought it up, it makes sense why that word would be then sort of picked out and used, especially in like really kind of strict religious terms, as something to inflict shame on others. That is like the word, right? Like, don't be lustful, don't have lustful thoughts. You're being a lusty person, right?
Yeah.
Like all your, it's always subjugated like that. And it's not surprising that the reason why probably is because it was a word that meant something about pleasure, and especially for women, no one ever thinks that women are entitled to their own pleasure. So
yes, well, we are here to change that.
Yes, we are.
On a individual level and empower y'all to do the same.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yes, but no, that is a really good point.
I like that you brought up the difference between, because I was thinking about that too, because we did do an episode on love spells and we did an episode on sex magic. Mm-hmm. And so in thinking about those, you know, and sort of how they are how they're similar and how they're different and everything, you know, sometimes love isn't what you're interested in, right?
Right.
It just is maybe a little too much to describe what it is that you want out of a situation. Love is not what you're looking for. And sometimes sex is not involved. Sometimes sex isn't even what you want.
That's a good point.
Right? It just, you're not interested in actually like engaging in that or like wanting to use that. And so lust is this thing that's sort of an other. And it can involve, like, certainly you can have love and lust and sex all wrapped into many different relationships and, you know, all three or one or two or whatever. But I love that lust is just like this separate thing, that it sort of pulls in the energies of those, but it's not as, like, deep or serious as love, and it's maybe not as, like, committed as sex.
Yeah, and I really love that you're identifying, because I think we can think love or lust equals sex.
Yes.
And you don't have to have sex to really enjoy lusting.
Yes.
Yeah.
Quite fun.
Yes.
Yeah.
And like anticipation and longing.
Oof. Yeah.
Those are very erotic states. And whether you have someone to act that out eventually with or not, it can be a really powerful energy within yourself to use or just enjoy.
Absolutely. And it's not, you know, if you're doing it very centered on yourself, it's not impacting anyone, it's not harming anyone. So it's really just focused on your pleasure and pleasuring yourself. And I love that. It doesn't need to be that serious, right?
Yeah. No, I think lust is fun.
Yeah, it's fun.
There is that, like you were saying, that kind of that religious shadow of like that shame, which as a society we internalize, you know, or as individuals we internalize from society rather.
Sure.
But in an effort to destigmatize and to re-own that, I think lust is fun.
Yeah.
And it is your right.
Yeah, it is your right. And it can be, I shouldn't say it is, because, you know, people take these things in different directions, but it can be very low stakes. Sort of just exploring the idea that's not, it doesn't need to involve anybody else in any real or tangible way. And it's a great way to start kind of just, I love that it's all about you. It is really just all about you individually. Like, maybe there is, like Jackie said, maybe there is like a certain person that you're kind of focused on with it, or a few people or whatever. Maybe there isn't. Maybe it's just in a general way. Or maybe you are in relationship and you have the sex and the love in that relationship, but the lust portion ebbs and flows, right? But maybe you want to bring a little bit, you have those others, but you want that spice. And this is something you can do within that realm too. Like, there's just so many ways that you can approach it and bring it in. I love that.
Yes, and I think that some of the sort of like practical actions that could fall under lust, I guess there's both ways. Like with yourself, I think it would be things like, at least for me, what came to mind was like taking baths or showers and like feeling like you prep your skin and you prep your hair. And if you're a makeup wearing person, you do makeup, you wear clothing that you like, and you're just doing that for you.
Yes.
Maybe you're doing that because you're meeting up with someone or you have a date. Okay, even better. Now we're involving someone else's energy in this.
Yeah.
The flirting that takes place, the sexting that takes place.
Yes.
That all is part of what can lead up to the sex part, if that's what's included in what you're doing.
Totally.
I think daydreaming, allowing like things to come to mind, actually physically touching self and others. Anyway, these are like the practical ways. That's all spell work.
It is. And it's kind of like back to the card pull, like the listening closely. That's why I was so struck by that, right? Because I'm like, that's exactly what we're talking about, because the foundation of really a powerful sex magic practice or even love, right, is sort of like being in touch with this and listening very closely to ourselves and to others.
Yes.
And pulling in, having a really good handle on this enhances your sex magic practice.
Definitely. And like we've said, it's actually separate from it too.
Yes.
So it's a really cool way you can play with different energies and different outcomes with or without other people involved.
I know. I really love the aspect about this. I think because even the sex magic, and go back and watch that episode. It's a great episode. We did talk too about how that doesn't have to be with another body.
Of course.
It doesn't have to be. Of course, we talk about that and stuff too. But I don't know. I feel like that one is just so much more specific, right? It's a narrower concept.
Yes.
Lust is just this broad concept, and it can mean so many things. And tapping into it, you can do in so many ways. Like you were saying, like sort of showering or like applying makeup, like all these things that you do kind of individually, you can do that way. And I feel like you can tap into interests and, I guess kinks, shall we say, can be part of it, where doing these things, daydreaming about these things like you mentioned, might really start to, light some things up in your brain about like, well, why does that make me feel so much hotter when I think about that, or when I try this, it really starts to help you tap into that stuff.
100%. And it's funny because, anything that we might define as like a sexual kink as an adult,
right,
has an origin in some kind of childhood experience.
Yeah.
And that is not to sound creepy or pedophile. Okay, that's not what I'm talking about.
No, not at all.
Or abuse. I'm not talking about that. No. I'm talking about something like, your mom's silk robe always felt so nice and silky to you when you were a kid. Sure. And now you find yourself liking to wear like silky, sexy things and you feel sexy in it. That's what I'm talking about, So finding out what those things are.
Oh, yeah.
Instead of like shaming, doing that internalized shaming about it.
Yeah.
Because I think lust, while I think sex is very active, whether it involves another person or not, you're doing something.
That is exactly what I was trying to say.
Yeah.
You're articulating it much better.
Okay. And I feel like lust is more close to eroticism, which is mental and in your imagination and maybe in your plans for what you want to do, or things that you just like thinking about that you would never actually act on. That's also totally okay.
And it's just as pleasurable to do that than to actually complete the act. In fact, some people would argue maybe even more so, because you never have the downsides to something if you never actually do it. It's always just going to be a perfect fantasy in your head if you never actually complete it and, have the things that go on when you do. Yes. So, yes, that's like, and I know that for some people, they're thinking, but getting past kind of those blocks in your head when you're thinking about it is really hard to do, and maybe they are hearing, voices of people that they've heard, like, tell them that things were wrong or whatever. We completely get that. It's not like we're sitting here saying like, you should just be able to do this and just do it. It's amazing. You're going to feel great. Like, there's times where you're probably going to confront ideas and then feel like, oh gosh, I don't know if I'm comfortable with that. Totally fine. That's another beauty of this, of lust and lust magic, is that it's all to your comfort level and what makes you feel good. And if anything doesn't make you feel good, you don't have to do it. And it doesn't mean you never might access that in the future. You might be able to, but, you might have to work through some things before you can.
Yes, and I feel like now, because of the things we've already touched on, I feel like now is a good time for me. I kind of laid out a few steps.
Ooh, I like that.
That could be considered a lust spell. But these are kind of separate steps. I kind of have them in a certain order, but they don't have to go in this order. But it all together kind of is the lust spell, even though each one individually is also a spell of its own, if that makes sense.
It does.
So what I sort of outlined and conceptualized was step 1 is practice, a spell practice to remove shame.
Yes. Okay, good.
And that's step 1 because we all have it. Yeah. We all need to work through as much of it as we can so that we can feel more free to move on to the other steps and things. So I have this activity, could be alone, or it could be partnered. You probably want to start alone and maybe move on to partnered if you choose to. But you also don't have to do it that way. You could do it just alone. But the practice is, and this is like, this is real talk here.
I love it.
The practice is to look at your genitals in a mirror. To look at yourself naked in a mirror. And to notice the judgmental, critical, cruel thoughts that might come to mind as you're doing that. And you are bringing loving kindness and compassion to yourself and your body while you are looking. You are hearing those mean thoughts as they come, if they do, which for many of us they do. And you are actively counteracting those by staying present, staying in a place of loving kindness and curiosity and acceptance. This is a practice that can take a really long time. Yeah. You don't have to look in that mirror for an hour. I mean, you can do it for a minute or 2. And when you start to feel uncomfortable, maybe stay with it a little bit longer, push a little bit past that, but then be done. And this is something that as you continue to do, you will start to not have so many of those critical, judgmental voices. You will start to have the more loving compassion. And then you can start to go on to the next step, which is more getting into like pleasure.
That's great.
That's step 1.
Yeah. And like Jackie said, step 1 isn't like a step to just check off, okay, I'm done. And now,
Right.
It could take a long time until you get comfortable to the point that you're ready to kind of move to the next one. That being said, there's a lot of kind of rhetoric out there that we encounter, not really in like the witchy community, though I'm sure it exists within it too, of sort of like having to be perfectly self-actualized before you can number 1, do anything else, or number 2, like deserve anything else. And that is all rooted in just, all kinds of stuff about how we should be productive people and just a bunch of bullshit. So that being said, you don't have to like completely step 1 be like, I'm, totally over like every single trauma I've ever experienced. And now I can do, no, you deserve pleasure no matter where you're at with it. It's just that, there are things you probably have to work through before you're comfortable moving to that place, but you don't have to earn anything.
No, definitely. And like, this is a suggestion of a practice. There can be a million other practices that get you moving forward with this stuff. This is just one suggestion. And very early on with this too, you can start to incorporate pleasure as in just touching your body in a loving, pleasurable way.
Yes.
It doesn't have to be sexual either. It could be sexual, but it could just be gentle touch on any part of your body, So yes, so that was sort of my concept for step 1 was some practices to help remove some shame. Step 2, I've tapped into fantasy. And so this is like starting to be what you were talking about.
Totally.
Using your imagination and your mind, things that you have experienced, that you have seen, that you haven't experienced, that you haven't ever even seen, right?
Yep.
And there is no shortage of pornography out there. People have a lot of opinions about it. Some porn is harmful to people. Not all porn is bad.
Right.
And I think it's important to look for resources that could help you actually explore fantasies and things like that safely and in an ethical way. And those are out there. Yeah. If you're just not comfortable with like the pornography kind of world or industry, again, that's obviously okay too. 100%. Your imagination and innocuous shows on TV have plenty of sex in them.
Oh, totally. And like even stuff like even imagery on your social media feed or something,
totally.
That you find erotic, that you, for some reason, even if it's not like outright sexual or something, like you, for some reason, there's something about it that you find erotic. Like when you start to engage in that and seek that out, you're really going to align your algorithm to start showing you stuff like that. And you can even start at some point, if you feel comfortable and if this becomes a thing for you, like you can start sharing sort of like maybe with a select there, on Instagram, there's a close friends thing that you can do.
Yes.
And you can start kind of sharing, and then maybe that feels good to you to like wonder how people are reacting to the fact that you're sharing that and what they might think about it. And there's ways to engage in this that maybe aren't necessarily like that explicit, but are still kind of explicit.
No, and as you were talking, I was starting to smile because I was thinking about, and I don't know the name of the account, but there's this man who's like a baker, like a chef.
Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about.
And he has these videos of him like making a cake. But the way it's shot and the way like his shirt is on, and he's like
his torso.
Yes, and he's like beating things in this bowl, and it's just, you're watching it and you're just like, your mouth's watering, and it's not because of the cake,
it's not because of the cake, but maybe it's also because of the cake.
But it's like, that's an example of something that
100%.
It's not explicit, but it is erotic.
Oh my gosh, so much. Okay, I have one that's like makes even less sense, but maybe some people will get it.
Yeah.
There's a man, and he's just, he's a beautiful, objectively speaking, beautiful man. Okay, so whatever. Who is a florist, and he does these floral arrangements, and they're like inspired by film and literature and whatever. It's the most creative. Okay, that's part of what is so hot for me about it, is the creativity that is coming out of his brain, but also he looks like that, and the way he presents it, like the way he puts it together, and then he sort of thrusts like the bouquet forward. And I'm just like, too. Yes, I'm sure you have. I've probably sent it to you. And it's
you haven't actually, but you should.
We've both somehow found it.
Happened to somehow both. Yeah, I don't know. Whatever.
Look how like silly we're right now.
No, I know, because I'm getting all flushed.
Just
I imagine he's like spanking the dough.
He spanks the dough. You got to look this up. Yeah, what is that guy's name?
I don't know. I wish I had written it down.
Yeah, man.
I didn't know I was going to talk about this.
No, I didn't either, and I'm so glad you are.
Yes, no, but I mean, I just think, and even the way that we're acting right now, it is evidence of how powerful, like this lusty feeling in yourself can be, and it can come from so many sources.
It can come from you,
and it does come from you, even if it's inspired by something you're watching or another person. It is within you that is generating.
And people feel that way about you.
Somebody does.
Somebody does.
For sure.
Yep. And tapping into that, powerful.
100%. Okay, so, all right, I'm going to shake that off.
Slap that dough.
My third step is, and again, this can be solo or this can be with a partner. Once you've kind of, worked through some shame, once you've kind of thought about, in your mind, kind of what is hot and what seems like a turn on, you want to get into your senses. So you want to use all 5 of your senses. Your skin is the biggest organ of your body. It is very, very sensitive. If you have a penis, it is very sensitive. If you have a clitoris, it is even more sensitive than a penis. So don't let penis owners tell you that they have the best experiences. They do not.
They do not. It's just been marketed that way.
Yeah, literally. So, and if they are having better ones than you and you have a clitoris, then you got to fix that, because, you should be...
We empower you to fix that.
Yeah, there's like 8,000 nerve endings in the clitoris. So anyways, all 5 senses. So touch, obviously, is a huge one.
Yes.
But we have the rest of them, too. We have visuals, which we already started talking about. Visuals kind of get your imagination going. But even looking at your own body can start to become pleasurable. Looking at your partner's body. Having a mirror in the bedroom if you are engaging, so you can watch what's happening, while you're experiencing it too. All that stuff is visual. Candles, bath things, oils, like those are scents, right?
Yes.
Taste, obviously. There's like, you can like bring tasty erotic food into the bedroom. Okay, you can.
You can.
But you can also like taste your partner's body.
Yeah.
And that might sound gross or weird, but if somebody's generally clean, it can be very, very erotic and
absolutely
exciting. What's the other one? Hearing. Oh yeah, sound. Make some sounds, okay?
Make some sounds.
Give your neighbors something to be jealous of.
Also, listen to sounds.
And listen to sounds.
And like get like Yeah. I mean, I feel like everything for me always comes back to music because it just does. But
and there's music, which adds into sound. Yeah.
But yes, like even people who are not musicians or that into music agree, right? Like there's something that happens to you when you listen to certain music. It does something to your body, to your nervous system,
to your brain,
to everything that is unlike any other thing on this planet. Any other touch, any other taste, any other anything. Music is the thing. So if there's like a certain mood you want to be in, or you want to explore how like that makes you feel, or you want to, you know, act your way into sort of that feeling, music is such an amazing way to do it. And it heightens the energy and the mood of not just you, but other people if you're involving other people. Yes. I mean, it's amazing.
No, it really is. And I'm glad that you said that, because that's the other main component of like the hearing sense is music. And you can be really creative with music. You can get into a lot of different erotic spaces with the soundtrack that's behind you, you know?
Oh my gosh.
So just the sky is the limit.
Yeah, because it brings up imagery in your head when you're listening to it. And it like it incorporates a lot of the other senses and is tied to memory in a very unique way. And yeah, it's amazing.
Yes. So that was my step 3. And then step 4, I don't know. I just said enjoy all of the above and repeat, rinse and repeat.
Yes, definitely repeat.
Do them all again as many times as you want to or can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And go back to whatever step you need to, and forward and whatever you need to do. But yes, amazing.
Yes.
Because it's a vibe, like lust, right? Like it's a vibe. Lust is an all around vibe.
Yes, and I think it is an attitude, and it is a way of carrying yourself.
Totally.
And the more you do those steps or anything else that appeals to you based on what you've realized from what we've been talking about, carry that shit with you every day.
Mm-hmm. Cultivate, as much as you want to do this, right? Cultivate your vibe around this. Like fill your algorithm with this. Fill your Spotify with this. Your Spotify Wrapped's gonna be wild. I want to see it. Yeah. They're gonna be like, wow, you're into some interesting things. I love that. I love it. Put visuals up in your space. Put the phone background that you look at all the time. There's so many ways to really like fully embrace this as a vibe.
Yes, and like embody it, like walk the walk, stand up tall, take those steps with confidence, and like it's the energy that's in you.
And that is spoken by a Leo, which I know that we have touched on this multiple times, but I feel like we just recently talked about this. That if you, probably because there was something coming up and I was like, embrace that.
Yeah, there was the Leo full moon.
Yeah, Leo full moon. Yeah, it was, because I was like, what better moon placement for a Leo than a full moon, obviously, right?
Yes.
But yes, that's the vibe, right? Like tap into that, that you are acting your way into a feeling, because with lust, for many of us, and like I'm including myself in that, this is something you do have to get comfortable with. Most people are not just automatically fine with this. There's too much messaging and too many things we've been through where we can't be that way. But to your comfort level, you can act your way into being that bitch. And you really can be. You just gotta try. And you really do. So much of this is that embodiment, which I think is sometimes what is trepidatious to people, because being in there sometimes is, a little bit, but you can do it. And this is such a unique way to kind of get in touch with your body. And it's supposed to be fun, and it's supposed to feel good. So those are great things.
Yes. No, definitely. Okay, I don't know what else there is to say about this. I'm like sweating and I have chills. Yeah. So much. Too much.
Okay.
Well, so I think that's our big witch energy on lust spells, and feeling it.
I know. Now I want to look up the videos of the cake.
Oh, what do you think
baker.
We're doing right after this? Like literally. But before that,
we have Spell of the Week.
Yay! Tell me, I'm so excited.
I love it. Okay, so our Spell of the Week this week is a Simple Glamour.
Love.
I don't know if we've talked about glamour spells yet.
Mm-mm.
And
I've wanted to, or it's crossed my mind, but I don't think we have.
and like we love them. And this really goes along with that vibe. So it's a simple glamour, and for those that maybe haven't dabbled, and it is brought to us by Prince.
Oh, hell yes. The literal sexiest human to have ever traversed this planet.
I mean, yeah, because like who else, right? So brought to us by Prince. She wants to lead the glamorous life. She don't need a man's touch. So here we go. It's a 2-part glamour spell.
Love.
But it's very, very simple. And you actually really don't need a goddamn thing.
Amazing.
You really don't. So what you're going to do is, this can be morning, night, whenever you want, but it's going to be a time when you're going to wash your face in some way, or splash water on your face, or whatever you do with your face. And then apply something on your skin afterwards. You do not need a special product for this. It doesn't have to have a special ingredient in it. If you want it to, and you feel drawn to an ingredient or a product with something in it that makes you feel some type of way, go for it. But don't feel like you have to. It can just be your normal cleanser and moisturizer, oil, whatever it is that you put on your skin. So what you're going to do is, while you are cleansing your face, you are going to imagine all the negativity about your appearance that people have said, that you have said to yourself. I don't want you to linger too much on the words. I know they're going to come in your head, and that might happen, but I really want you to not focus so much on that and linger on that, but imagine washing that away. You're washing that off, and it's going down the drain, and it's going away. Okay? And then after you're done with that, and you've pat dry your face, whatever moisturizer, oil, whatever you use on your face, you are going to be applying it to your face while you are looking in the mirror, because I want to incorporate a little mirror magic with this too. It's key, and Jackie mentioned it earlier. It's very powerful. So you're going to look at yourself in the mirror, and you're going to imagine all eyes on you. People cannot bear to look away from you. You are a goddess. That moisturizer is sinking into your skin, and it is making you irresistible. You are so magnetic. People are obsessed. Your skin looks amazing. And everything that you are putting in, you're just feeling yourself. You're feeling it. It feels amazing, and it's radiating out towards everybody. And you could even, maybe if things come into your mind, you could sort of repeat them to yourself. I just thought of this, like, I am a gorgeous goddess. Everyone is drawn to me.
Yeah.
Something like that. I mean, it's a pretty good one, but
yeah,
something like that.
Pretty good.
Something like that.
Oh, I love this.
And the idea of a glamour is really to impact how you're being perceived.
Yeah.
To the point that people, just try it. It's so powerful.
Yeah.
People will perceive exactly what you are putting out there. And if you really tap into kind of that lust energy to do this, my goodness, like they're going to be barking at you.
Yeah, so much power, and I just love that.
Same.
I love it. I'm going to do this every day.
People will be absolutely feral for you, and I love that for all of you.
Yeah,
and you all deserve every bit of that.
And you can be like, yes, come and get me, or you can be like, talk to the hand. What you do with that energy is up to you.
Totally up to you. You can harness it in so many ways.
Yes, amazing. So, okay, yeah, this was a lusty episode. I enjoyed. So, until next time,
stay witchy, friends.
And stay dumb.
Dumb Witch Club is written and produced by us, Ashley Sidner
and Jackie Gerard, at the Dumb Witch Clubhouse in Orange County, California.
Produced and edited by Matt Heinemeyer, creative director and culture consultant Violet Turner.
Original music by Ashley Sidner. And look us up on all your favorite social media platforms, including Patreon.
Until next time, stay witchy, friends.
And stay dumb.